Hey everyone, Desi's here with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about the Stormwind Stockades boost runs. So if you're a mage and you're new to boosting and you want to learn how to do it, this is probably the best dungeon to start with. It is a very good entry-level boosting run, and today I'm going to be just talking about how to do it, what spells you need, what prerequisites you need. So first off, you want to get minor speed increase the enchant on your boots. This is very important for outrunning mobs, and in the end it'll allow you to take less damage. Next, you just want to cast Arcane Intellect on yourself as well as Ice Armor. Ice Armor is very important because when mobs hit you, they slow down. You can have some room to run past them, especially with the minor speed increase to your boots, which just the more distance between you and the mob is the better for this dungeon, since it's very close quarters and it's very easy to get overwhelmed with mobs. Arcane Intellect is important because it just simply gives you more mana. For gear, you want to be equipping gear with the most stamina and intellect. Stamina is especially important for this run. Mobs can overwhelm you and they can stun you. So it's very important to have a lot of health built up. Mana, it's not as important because you're not going to be casting as many spells to take these mobs down, since they really don't have much health and they're very low level. And next, you want to cast Ice Barrier on yourself. This absorbs 860 damage, very important to have. And while you're collecting gold from your boosties, which is usually about 3 gold per person per run, cast Ice Barrier on yourself, because you want to get it down to about 35 to 40 seconds cooldown. So by then, when it breaks, you can recast it right away. So let's get started. I'm going to start a stopwatch. You always want to go left side first. That's what I do. You can start on right. What I do is left side first, rank 1 Arcane Explosion. You walk slightly to the back of the room in order to hit the back mobs. Go back into the middle, and then go into the next left room. Rinse and repeat. Grab that mob. Sometimes they don't hit, so you might have to cast again, which is okay. My Ice Barrier broke, so now I can recast it right away because I waited that 15 seconds beforehand. So now you want to go into the last room. These mobs will aggro, so you don't need to worry about Arcane Explosioning them. And what I do is I do a little loop around the room just to group them up. Then you want to Nova them, Flame Strike, and then Cone of Cold. Very important. And then you just Arcane Explosion max rank on them. Don't do rank 1 Arcane Explosion. Do rank 6 Arcane Explosion, because that will kill them the most efficiently. Another thing you can do is set the loot to free-for-all. It's a good selling point for people. People like to have the ability to loot mobs, even if they don't, which most of the time they don't. You can get a few extra silver from these mobs, occasionally some greens. The main focus point of this boost is not the loot from the mobs, but mostly just the 3 gold from each group member, because you can get about 60 gold an hour, which is very good for an entry-level boosting dungeon. So what I do is I cast Ice Barrier, and then I drink and eat, because the cooldown will go down. I'll be able to cast it right away when it breaks, so it's important to cast it about 15 seconds before you're going to start your pull and while you're drinking. And I always start on the left side of the dungeon. The mobs are less, they don't stun you as much, and it's just nice to get done with quickly. So same kind of pattern, go on the left side first, Arcane Explosion in the back, go on to the right side, Arcane Explosion rank 1, we go to the next left room, Arcane Explosion, my Ice Barrier is going to break, so then I'm going to recast it right here. And usually around this point, this is where I'm going to group them up, Nova them, Flame Strike, and Cone of Cold. So by that point, they all stack up in the 4th room that you pull in. Bam, that's another pull done. You can loot up. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to be looting as much. Cast Ice Barrier in 1 second. Eat and drink. And I usually divide each half of the dungeon, the left side I divide into 2 pulls, and the right side I divide into 2 pulls. First pull is these 4 rooms. As you can see, that's how many mobs you kill from that. It's about 17 mobs. In the second half of this side, I start on the left side as well, and I kind of go in a clockwise pathing through the circular room. I'm gonna go into the end all the way. And the total amount of mobs you want to be killing by the end of this dungeon is 93. I believe that's the max amount of mobs that can be spawned in this dungeon. Yeah, group them up. Nova them, Flame Strike, and then you're going to Cone of Cold. Arcane Explosion. Bam. So that's the whole west side of the dungeon cleared. And now the second side, the east side of the dungeon, these mobs, they do stun you, so you need to be careful with that. And if it goes bad, you just want to kill the group, even if you don't have all the mobs you want to pull. It's better safe than sorry. The run back to this dungeon is very painful because the nearest graveyard is in Elwyn Forest. So I want to cast my Ice Barrier prematurely, so then when it breaks, I'll be able to recast it right away. And it's the exact same layout as it is on the other side, except the mobs do stun you a little more. Go into the left room, Arcane Explosion rank 1. So it's very RNG based for getting stunned. Got about 200 more hit points. Recast. And as you can see, I am getting stunned, so I am going to take out this pull. And it's okay to do that. You don't want to getting stunned isn't the end of the game. It's not game over for this pull. It's gonna happen a lot. It is annoying, but you can get trapped into a chain stun, which is not fun at all because you might have to resort to going into an ice block, which is never fun. And yeah, once you're stunned, it lasts 2 seconds, you fall on the floor. After that cooldown goes down, they can immediately stun you again, so you really can't do anything. So it's best to just take that pull out and not let everything go down, because you can die. Even though you're level 60 and these mobs are mid-level 20s, they can kill you. Their numbers can overwhelm you, especially as a mage. You don't have very much armor. Just gonna recast the Ice Barrier and keep drinking. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wand pull this room because it's only 1 room. I don't need to go into 4. And then I'm just gonna go into the circular room and I'm gonna do the exact same pattern that I did on the west side. I'm gonna go in the left room, back room, right room, go back into the middle, group them all up. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wand them. There we go. So you want to go to the left side. Arcane Explosion rank 1. It's okay if the middle aggroes. That's perfectly fine. This room you don't need to go into the back because the 3 mobs that spawn in it are right at the entrance. What I usually do at this point is I blink right to the end of the room, maybe cast Mana Armor for some extra hit points, and want to Nova them, cast Mana Armor again, Mana Shield again. Losing mana isn't very important in this run. You want to keep your distance while you're Arcane Explosioning, because while you still have aggro, they can kill you. Yeah, it looks like I ran out of mana, but that is okay. These mobs have very low hit points, so even when you're wanding them, it does about... For my wand, I have the Touch of Chaos. It does about 10 to 15% of their hit points. The thing about Basil Thread he has different pathing from the rest of the mobs. He can leash and go back to his original spot, which is kind of strange for a dungeon elite. But that is the entire run of the Stockades dungeon. And that is how you can, as a mage, boost other players. And it looks like that run, it took me about 8.5 minutes, 8 minutes or so. I did run into a little hiccup when I was stunned and I had to prematurely kill that pack. So what you want to do at this point is tell your group that they're ready to reset, all out of the dungeon. And by this point, you can just leave the dungeon, group back up, reset the dungeon, go back in, and then you have another fresh dungeon. You can do about 5 of these per hour. And if each group member is paying you 3 gold each, you're making 12 gold per run. 5 of those an hour, you're making 60 gold an hour, plus any of the greens and silver and grays that you get from these dungeon runs. It can net you a few extra gold. However, you're not going to be getting much gold from the loot. It is mostly from the gold that the boosties are giving you. So yeah, that is how I run the Stockades boost. You always want to have Ice Barrier on, you want to have Arcane Intellect, Ice Armor, the Miner Speed Increase. These are all things that are definitely recommended for this dungeon run, and I wish you luck on running this dungeon yourself and making a ton of gold. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.